Welcome to the SCORE Business Showcase. I'm your host, Steve Geyer, and my co-host is Marianne Coche. And today we have two business owners, Jewel and also Greg Thomas, and their business, the name of their business is the Jazz Project. And they've been in business now for about 4 years. Now, Greg and Jewel, I love music, so I'm very excited to see the correlation between music and also work. Take it away, Marianne.
Well, thank you, Stephen. I'm excited as well to learn more about your business and your journey. So, Jules and Greg, could you tell me what is the Leadership Project and what might have motivated you to start it?
It's the Jazz Leadership Project, JLP, and we have been in business for many years together. We are husband and wife, and we've been involved in the arts and culture in various capacities over several decades. And about 5 years ago, we were approached by the education department of Jazz at Lincoln Center to help manage they have an educational department leadership program that works with schools and organizations. So we did that for a little bit, and they had to put that program on hold. And we, being involved in business and organizational development and being in business for ourselves, we said, this really should continue. So we decided to launch the Jazz Leadership Project and focus on providing leadership and team development, training and development for organizations so that they could employ the principles and practices of jazz in their own businesses, organizations, and lives.
I love the tie-in with the jazz, and leadership.
Well, the reason that is so key is because jazz is about high performance. It is about a collaborative space that enables individuals to do their best and reach their level of mastery. But then it also brings in the collaboration of all of the members together to create something unique, something special, and something beautiful that people can experience. And we saw the opportunity to bring that perspective and that philosophy into a workplace that has seen in so many ways that, command leadership and or top-down leadership is not the most effective or the most productive, nor does it engage people on the levels that they need to and want to be engaged.
Now, Greg and Joel, why is jazz an innovative and important model for leadership and team development today?
Well, if we could take both the leadership and the team development, I'll start with leadership. I mean, one way of looking at a jazz ensemble is, even though you might see a particular name on the marquee, such and such a quartet or quintet with the leader's name in front, you actually have highly skilled individuals on each instrument that contribute to the whole of the ensemble. And in that sense, each individual instrument and player on that instrument is a leader in his or her own right. So if you take the jazz rhythm section, drums, bass, piano, it takes a lot of skill to play jazz fluidly, a lot of hours of practice to develop a level of proficiency on one's instrument. But there's a particular set of roles and responsibilities that each instrument has. So the drums primarily in charge of course, the rhythm. And in jazz, the rhythm is the foundational element that makes it special. And that rhythm has to be called swing. Bass, they have a particular role, detailed later, but I just want to lay out kind of an overview. And the piano has a role where it is playing harmony, melody, and some rhythm, because a piano is a percussive instrument. So it's is rhythmic in its orientation. So there's individual roles and shared roles, right? So when we look at leadership, we basically tell people in organizations that though you may have a particular title, you are a leader in your own right, in what you do and what your roles and responsibilities are, and in your own life, and to look at it from that place first, and to go from there. And then as far as team development.
Well, it's, as I mentioned, this is a high performance art form. And the individual members, as Greg has stated, are coming together as what we like to call an ensemble. When you use the word team, sometimes you have to look into the notion of competition. So we call it an ensemble because it's a particular mindset. It's a mindset that says that we are all working towards a specific purpose. And we have particular values that carry us on the path to that purpose. So whether we're talking about respect for the other person's talent and their gift, whether we're talking about deep listening, whether we are talking about compassion or camaraderie, it's all within the framework of understanding that we're moving together towards this common goal, and we're going to do it as an ensemble, and we're going to do it until we get it right, and in whatever form that takes. So it's a collaborative process, it's shared leadership, and it is a space that says that we bring our talents together, but we're going to achieve whatever the ensemble or the company is looking to put into place, whatever service that is.
I really like that tie-in with collaboration. That sounds so powerful when people are all working together like that. What can companies expect as part of a Jazz Leadership Project experience?
Wow, they can expect innovation. They can expect to learn about 4 principles and 6 practices that are the foundation of the model. And they can expect to learn how they can take those principles and practices and transfer them to a workplace to be able to bring more cohesion and more synergy into what they do and how they do it. They can expect fun. They will, of course, have music. When we were able to do live workshops, we traveled with a trio. So there was a live jazz trio with us to demonstrate those principles. So now we use music videos and music examples on our webinars. Did I miss anything else in terms of what they can expect?
They can also expect to have certain exercises and practices that we engage them with. Their writing exercises, reflection exercises also. So we make it an interactive process that's very engaging and has all those elements Jewel mentioned.
And what is I think we found is really key is that because this is a music model, it gives people an opportunity to open up their creativity and the understanding that this can bring something new and something different. So it's not a lecture about music. They don't have to know anything about jazz or about music in particular. They just have to be open to the concept and the philosophy behind it and have fun within the framework of what those principles and practices can bring to them.
You know, I took piano lessons on my own one time, and it didn't go too well. Went well for a little while, but I got tendonitis in my shoulder, so that stopped it. But you have me curious on the 4 jazz principles as a model, and also your 6 practices. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, we'd be glad to. So the principles are kind of the foundation values of the music, and that we use to translate into a workplace setting. So when you talk about the 4 principles, you start with the first 2 being for an individual, the next two being for the group, team, or ensemble, as Jewel mentioned. So the very first principle is individual excellence. As I mentioned when I talked about the roles in a jazz rhythm section, there's a lot of what we call woodshedding, being in the shed, practicing, devoting yourself to learning the craft so that you can play with others to the best of your ability as they do the same. So individual excellence. And then there's a principle called antagonistic cooperation, which is a principle that actually derives from the hero's journey archetype and story that many are familiar with through Joseph Campbell. And so antagonistic cooperation says it's a certain perspective and orientation on challenge, on conflict. How do we deal with situations, scenarios in which there's conflict, or we feel either individually or collectively or interpersonally challenged? And what we do is we give a perspective on that that says that those don't have to be viewed as negatives. In fact, we say that without those challenges, you're really not going to grow. So we say, look at those challenges as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to develop. And that happens in music. That happens where there's an example through a practice called the cutting contest, a whole practice where you'd have many times in jam sessions and clubs after hours, you'd have individuals on the same instrument, going head to head, trading fours, trading eights, musical figures back and forth to try to best one another, but doing it kind of in a fun way where you rise to the occasion and each makes the other actually be and play better. So those are the two individual ones. You want to take the two principles that are the group, or you want me to continue?
No, continue. That's
okay, thank you. So the next two, which are more of a group orientation, is shared leadership. When I was talking about how in some cases the roles intersect among the musicians. So one person I didn't mention is usually what's called the lead instrument. That's trumpet or sax, often in a small jazz ensemble. So they're playing the melody, and a lot of times they're doing the improvising. Of course, the rhythm section, drums, bass, and piano, they also improvise, but they're in a more support capacity. But because their roles and responsibilities are so defined and intersect at the same time, like for example, the bass is playing usually on every beat and playing the bottom notes of the harmony or the chords, while the piano is playing the chords. They're actually sharing those duties together. And generally speaking, you could say shared leadership is you're a leader in what you do, you're a leader in what you do, you're a leader, and we're going to share those leadership responsibilities and capacities. And then the last is ensemble mindset, which Jewel alluded to before with respect to looking at things as an ensemble, as a group where you've got individual roles and responsibilities, and we respect that. But the whole orientation is how can we play and flow together in such a way that we can bring the most pleasure and fulfillment to ourselves and to an audience. And a company needs to do that because they bring fulfillment to themselves, hopefully in the workplace, that's what you work towards, as you provide a particular service, or you're working on products, or you have some type of offering to either the public, or if it's B2B to other businesses. And so you can see how these things work together. So those are the bottom fundamental principles of the Jazz Leadership Project.
So the practices are the ways in which these principles, the actions that are put in place in order to bring these principles to life. And we start off, as Greg noted, with the principles with an individual perspective. So he mentioned something called in the shed. That's the first practice. And what that means is that you're deliberately practicing your craft. So it's not a, once in a while type of thing. You have a focus, you have a curriculum, you understand what you're aiming for and what your goals are, and you are in the shed taking care of that, making sure that you are reaching those goals. So when you step on that stage or when you are in that conference room, you know exactly what you are going to be sharing, you know how you're going to be sharing it, and all of the gifts and the talents that you practice then are being brought to bear. So that's in the shed. Your sound is the next practice. And your sound is about your specific and particular voice. It's the consistency of what you say, how you say it, how people respond to you within that framework. So you are developing that as you are in the shed. Your particular sound, your particular voice is coming into form, into shape. And so people are able then to recognize who you are by your sound. And you could probably say that if you listen to Aretha Franklin or you listen to Miles Davis or any specific musician, you'd be able to right away within a couple of bars go, oh yeah, that's Miles. That's what we're talking about. Big ears is the next practice. And big ears is not because any one person has oversized ears that just look kind of funny. If someone in jazz says to another musician, they have big ears, it's a compliment. And it's a compliment because they're saying, I understand and I see that you listen deeply. And you listen deeply because it's how we communicate with each other, even within the framework of the tune. And that's so key and so important. We spend a lot of time in the workshops and in the webinars on big ears, and we have 3 different levels, and I'll just name them. We don't have time for us to go into the details, but they are active listening, where you are present and you are showing that you do care about what this person is saying. There is, I just lost my train of thought.
Empathetic.
Empathetic listening, where you are listening with the heart and you're really tuning in to what the person is saying. And then there's generative listening. And generative listening is a space that many musicians occupy most of the time because it's about creating the future with the other person. So you're listening with your entire body, head, heart, gut, all of it, so that you are connecting on a very intimate and deep level. So those are the 3 levels of listening that we go through. And we have, of course, as Greg said, examples and exercises to really show exactly how that works and how you can put it into practice. Then we move to improvisation, which a lot of people have most likely heard in terms of jazz particularly, but it's not about winging it. And when we talk about improvisation, it's about what we call wise spontaneity. So you are leaning back on all of that deliberate practice from being in the shed, and you're bringing it into the moment then to be able to craft something new, something different, something original, something that takes people to a different place. We have then syncopation. And syncopation in a nutshell is being able to shift when something unexpected happens. So that, you know, a band member plays something, a chord that's different from what you might have played the last time, but you can ride with it because you're able to shift in the moment and not be thrown off or you know, freeze, because this is something that comes out of a space that you weren't expecting. And then the final practice is swinging. And swinging is about the flow that you create, the groove that the ensemble is in, and just the space that becomes, how do I want to put that? The space that becomes a syncopated but group. The only way I can say it is flow.
Ebb and flow.
Ebb and flow. There we go. Ebb and flow. And that's where you are snapping your fingers and you're in the space and you take the people who are there to experience it with you to the place that where you are. So those are the 6 practices. And we take those and we translate those to the workplace so that you can see exactly how they can be used in your day-to-day conversations, in your day-to-day projects, and how your day-to-day interactions, and how you can then up-level all of those things in how you can get your best work done.
It's
I'm glad-
amazing. I
I'm
can
gl-
hear your passion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm glad you explained about in the shed because that's not a place I wanted to go.
this is a good place, Steve.
Yes.
This is a good place to be.
What additional tools would you say are part of your training process?
What additional tools? Well, wow. These days, since we're primarily online, we do online workshops. We are developing what we call a digital learning platform that takes these principles and practices and puts them under particular themes. You have 4 different themes. You've got conversations and communication. You've got diversity, equity, and inclusion. You also have competition, challenge, and conflict. And then you also have, what's the 4th one?
Which one did you?
Yeah, it'll come. But the point is, we're creating a platform where people and organizations can actually go through in a self-paced manner, these different ways of seeing, go through exercises, quizzes, questionnaires, and get the information that way in a self-paced manner. And then we also have actually been doing some coaching. That's not a main line of the business, but because of what's been happening in the world and in 2020, socially, politically, in terms of conflicts, racial and otherwise, we were actually engaging in some coaching of individuals to help them through using the same principles and practices.
Oh, I'd like to add that we are also Barrett Values
Oh, yes.
Assessment certified trainers. And so I mentioned values earlier in terms of the ensemble and how they can function together as a tight, cohesive group. And values is one of the things that allows us to be able to do that. Because if I understand what your values are and what motivates you and what your beliefs are, then we can form a better union. And the assessment gives you the opportunity to understand and dig into your values a little bit and be able to surface those and be able to understand what the values that you see in your company as current, and then what you would desire values to be in the future. So it gives a fabulous snapshot of how we work, how our behaviors, where our behaviors stem from because of our beliefs and our motivations. And then you're able to craft a pathway then to being in that desired space, because you know exactly, what you're dealing with and what any of the gaps may be that could be causing friction or moments of discord. So that's one of the things that one of the tools that we use.
And it'll help you once you see where you want to go based on where you are, and you see that individually and collectively, then there are places, if you're stuck, you can see how to get unstuck. And I did remember the 4th pillar of the digital learning platform, and she's mentioned a couple of times, high performance team cohesion. It's a whole pillar that we're developing in that area too.
So our model includes metrics and the analytics as well as the practicum of the model.
So we look at it as a whole brain model. You're using kind of the analytical left side, to use that brain hemisphere model, and the creative right hemisphere also. It's really a whole brain, and as Jewel mentioned, really a whole brain, whole body orientation, so that when people engage in what we're doing, they end up feeling more full and fulfilled.
Mm.
It's fun, but it's informative, it's educational. It's really a whole experience that makes it a very powerful way to learn and to grow ultimately. And that's what we're trying to achieve.
I can see how companies would contact you to help with their teams, but everything that I'm hearing from you really ties in on your personal life as well, and how much better and enriched that could be. So I have a question for you. How is it working together?
It's wonderful.
Yes.
It's wonderful. I mean, a lot of couples, I would think that they would say, oh my goodness, I got to spend all that time, you know? Well, we happen to have a wonderful relationship. We've been together 20 years, married for 12. And we love it.
You know, it wasn't much of a shift for us in terms of, you know, what happened with this pandemic and how people then had to be at home 24/7, you know, in each other's presence and engaging and interacting. We kind of looked at each other, you know, after that was in place for a while and said, well, this is the norm for us.
That's right.
And we, because our communication is really good. We listen to each other very well. We value each other's work ethic and opinions and thoughts about things. So
and skill sets. I mean,
yeah.
we have a range of skill sets, and we allow each other to have and stay in a lane, but we always get together and keep the higher purpose and values in mind as we go. And it works, therefore.
And we try to laugh too.
We don't try, we do.
We do. During the day, it's great
yeah.
just to have a belly laugh about something. You know,
Right.
something always comes up,
Mhm.
and just to keep you moving, you know, and to keep it light, because we're dealing with a lot of challenges these days.
Absolutely.
Now, we're kind of running out of time, but I have a final question for you. How can people reach you and get a free consultation?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, they could email us at GJ, so Greg Jewell, at jazzleadershipproject.com. And we would welcome a phone call if they'd like to speak to us directly at 917-536-6504, or Greg's number, 917-504-0040.
And they can check out our website, which is
Mhm.
jazzleadershipproject.com. And we have a blog where we come out with free content every week, tuneIntoLeadership.com. Check that out and subscribe for free.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a great session with both of you. I felt like I was enjoying the music. I could hear it.
Thank you.
Mary Ann, if you could tell them about SCORE a little bit.
Yeah, SCORE is a program that is funded by the SBA, Small Business Administration, and there are lots of resources in SCORE that business owners can come and get these resources, like mentoring, training, all kinds of resources. So you can go to our website, and we would be happy to help small business owners, no matter what stage of business they're in, starting out or growing.